What is up? Welcome to an action-packed NBA rundown brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm your host, a little under the weather, spread Astaire, but I'm still going to power through. And I have two excellent guests today, Tyler Hicks and Chris Randone is back with us. Chris, how has the week treated you since we saw you last?
Oh man, great weekend. It's Thanksgiving. Last time or after we spoke last week and did the show, but everything's been good, man. NFL's been treating me good. NBA, it's a little difficult still, so I'm still trying to wrap my finger around it. But I'm sure sooner or later throughout the season we'll get there. But yeah, no, I'm excited to talk the slate with you guys. 13 games, it's a big one, so let's definitely hammer this one.
Well, hey, I don't want to toot our own horn here, Tyler, but typically guests do pretty well. After they've been on the rundown talking through the games with us. I know AP's had some of his biggest hits on the Fridays. And just yesterday, right, Travis, the guest here, we're talking through. We were all really high on Anthony Simons, and he rode him to an 8K hit. So maybe just jumping on here will help you turn things around and get the winning ways going. Tyler, we were talking before the show. Almost was going to be a clean sweep for us. The one assist prop, that sucked. But at least on sides and totals. And the Portland Trailblazers blew it. I told you beforehand at 91.83 or 91.73, I'm not feeling good. I said I got a lot to do tomorrow. 13 game slate. I'm going to get to bed. Wake up, find out that the Blazers had blown it. Did you see what happened at the end of that game?
I mean, it was just your typical Clippers got hot from three, and everybody that chucked one up was hitting the bottom of the net with it. I mean, there were points where they would give Batum the ball, and it looked like there was half a second on the shot clock with how quick he released the three, and it would just hit the bottom of the net. So it was just one of those runs the Clippers go on where all their guys are just hitting their threes, and there's nothing you could do about it. I think Norm Powell went into that fourth quarter or the third quarter with like 8 or 9 points. I think you blinked and he had 25 points. So the whole team was just on fire. There was nothing they could do. Simons did his best to try and withstand that storm and match back, but when you're 1 against 5 with those guys shooting, you can't do it.
And that was where being on the show helped, right? Because I talked to you about Jalen Brunson, and we ended up going with Powell for the core, and he ends up getting it done. So, Norm Powell had 22 in the fourth. Let's jump into tonight. The Philadelphia 76ers are in Cleveland taking on the Cavaliers. Cavaliers minus 3.5, total of 210.5. Tyler, we talked about this one before the game. I don't really trust the projections with so many people out here. Jarrett Allen and Kevin Love on the Cleveland side. Jaden Springer and James Harden, of course, still on the Philadelphia side. How are you approaching this one, Tyler?
Yeah, probably most likely a stay away from me because we know how 76ers games have treated us lately. So if I was going to bet it, though, I would take the dog because you look at these last couple contests between these two. 2 of the 3 have been won by 4 points exactly. This line sits right around that 4.5. And the other game was won by 8. So all the games have been won by single digits. They're both bigger physical teams. They're going to try and beat up on each other. So I just see it staying close, probably low scoring. Dog or pass for me here. And then as for props, I like Mitchell's over here. Philly's given up about 27 points per game to shooting guards over the last 2 weeks. I think he could eat up Milton and Melton back there. So give me his props today.
All right. How are you approaching this one, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, from a betting side, I don't mind actually rolling with the Cavs. I just don't trust the 76ers. I will say, though, that total is an ugly total. So if we translate that into DFS, it's really hard to pinpoint exactly if there's any pieces you truly want from this game. But, playing devil's advocate, a few guys early on this morning did it still early. So we need a lot of news, like you said. Mobley grades out good, Mitchell, Garland. And Embiid, if he does play, I mean, obviously he has a pretty solid projection, but no ownership. So I think we know how that goes. If he does give us the minutes that we're looking for and he's in there and it's a physical game, like Tyler said, I mean, he could rack up easily a double-double and exceed expectations. So just one thing to maybe look at. But in general, with a 209 total, especially on a 13-game slate, it's really hard if you want to pinpoint and kind of roster any of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, maybe spend up for Embiid with Jarrett Allen out. That is a little bit of an easier matchup. Evan Mobley's a great defender, but part of the reason he's so good is his ability to play out there on the perimeter. Embiid's not really going to require that of him. Might be a little too small to hang with the big man tonight. Maybe could get him in foul trouble, though. So a lot going on there, and I'm fine kind of staying away from that game, both from betting and DFS. Let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks, who are -6 in Orlando, taking on the Magic, total of 228. Tyler, we like the Hawks there when we were running the projections this morning. Let everyone know why.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Orlando, they suck against guards, and that's just the way this Atlanta team's built. You got 2 very good guards in the backcourt. I think they're both due for big games here. you look at these performance doubles because I'd rather go there than lay the 6. Trae Young to have a double-double here and wins plus 160. DeJounte Murray to have 22 plus points and win is plus 165. Those are some ways I'd get on this game because I think the guards absolutely nuke Orlando tonight. I think Paulo could have himself a decent game against that front court. But with Wendell Carter out, Clint Capella could also just eat up all the rebounds and just have himself a 10-point, 15 to 17 rebound game. So I think Atlanta wins the game. I'm going to bet it through performance doubles, then lay the 6. But if I had to, I would lay the 6.
Yeah, same here. Chris, what are your thoughts here on the Hawks and the Magic?
Yeah, Hawks and Magic, I've grown, I went to school at UCF, so I lived in Orlando for quite some time. And these two always, for some reason, it always is competitive. But Tyler's absolutely right when it comes to the guard play. And I think now it's getting interesting with Dejounte Murray with his price coming down for DFS purposes. He's 8,800 on DraftKings, projects very well. There's not much ownership going to this game. But, the guys that all do stand out, it's all on the Atlanta side. Jan, Capella, Collins, Murray. And I got to be honest with you, the -6, I think I could take that because just like Tyler said, these guards can definitely eat tonight. And to be honest with you, if you watch the Hawks and you see how they play, especially the last few games, the usage is just absolutely insane between Young and Murray. I mean, it just runs through these two guys. And the fact that they struggle, Orlando, against guards, it's just a no-brainer. So I really do like the Atlanta Hawks here to cover, and I do like Young and Murray as GPP plays.
Young and Murray, yeah. Nice to attack the Magic when it's coming to guards. Is there some news here? I was looking for Markelle Fultz is back. Now, I know that we're not going to really play him in DFS right off the bat. And, of course, I don't think it really changes your handicap because he's not that good defensively. But, boy, this Magic team's been starved for good guard play. I think this will be his debut tonight. Interesting to see how he does. Cole Anthony also back as well. Terrence Ross can give them a little bit off the bench here. But a pretty dirty injury report in that one. Jalen Suggs is out again. Wendell Carter out again.
We get the 2 guards back for Orlando that play no defense, and they kick the one out that does play defense. So that's perfect for those Atlanta guys.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So a lot going on here. I see Jalen Johnson doubtful. He doesn't get that much play. Bogdan Bogdanovic might make his debut. Who's doubtful? DeAndre Hunter's questionable. Maybe want to see him in there if we go ahead and lay the 6. But, we're going to continue to plug on. The Miami Heat are plus 9.5 in Boston, taking on the Celtics, total 223. Tyler, I can't remember what day I said it, but I mean, Boston to me has been the most consistent team in the NBA this season. They've just been blowing people out night in and night out. Jason Tatum's been excellent, and this team's getting great stops even without Robert Williams. When we ran it this morning, I love the Celtics. I couldn't wait to make that bet. What do you think of me taking the Celtics?
No, I'm right with you. Give me the Celtics here. I think they blow this team out. I think it's looked similar to what they just did to the Hornets a couple nights ago. I mean, they just went out there. They absolutely pounded them. I think they had them up by 20 at the end of the first, and they didn't blink. They never looked back. I think they won the game by about 25 to 30. Tatum had himself a big game. Brown's still questionable here, so if he's out, Tatum's going to be in for another 30-plus points, probably the win. And you just look at Miami's injury report. Jimmy Butler's still out. Hero's questionable. Vincent's probable. Dedmon's questionable. Jovic is questionable. Robinson's probable. There's just a ton of guys on this injury report for Miami. And with their main guy, Butler, still being out, I have to take the best team in the league in Boston here. So give me the Celtics -9.
Yeah, I'd say right now you can argue that Boston's the best team. Let's see what the Bucks look like when Chris Middleton gets back. But, Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, as long as the injury report's interesting because if Hero's out, I mean, it just makes it even more of a no-brainer. But I will say, I mean, they just have to neutralize Bam. It seems like right now, especially the last couple games, this offense has just really ran through Bam. And, to be honest with you, winning those games, especially at Atlanta, if Bam's off, I mean, they're just going to get absolutely destroyed. So I love Tatum here. I love Brown here. I love the Celtics here. It's like Tyler said, one of the best teams in the league, if not the best team in the league. Tatum and Brown together are just a powerful duo. So, yeah, give me Boston here. And to be honest with you, I kind of like the under. It's 224. I could see this definitely going under and not being such high scoring. But outside of that, if DFS purposes, honestly, anything is probably Tatum or Brown. Anything else, I mean, there's no ownership going to this game whatsoever. So you can already see how ugly it is from the perception of the general public.
Did you see this comment in the chat, Tyler? Bucks versus Celtics on Christmas Day. I might be gifted a fat L for Christmas. What do you think of that, Tyler?
I don't even know which side you would be on there. I mean, you're not as indebted to the Bucks after they won you the championship 2 years ago. So it's like you kind of jump to the Warriors at this point.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think you're more indebted to the Warriors now.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'll be honest. I'll probably just take the home team there. I don't know where they're playing at. I think the home court might be the difference, right? Because they talked about it for riding with the Mavs last night, and that was one of the reasons. Was just I felt like on the Mavericks and the Warriors, right? Both teams are just so superstar dependent, and then you have the role players that are going to play better at home. So I think that it's in Boston. Yeah, I don't know if I will be. I don't know if I will be going ahead and taking the Bucks there, but we'll see. Maybe they'll give me enough points to make it worth it. But let's continue on today's slate because it is a fat one, and we are talking about the Milwaukee Bucks next. -5.5 in New York, taking on the Knicks. Total of 228. Tyler, we don't like laying these points on the road. This seems like it screams performance doubles because I love the Bucks to get the win. I could just see the Knicks keeping this close. They've been playing pretty well on offense lately.
They have been playing good on offense lately, but it is a back-to-back. They're off a giant blowout win. It's their 3rd in 4 nights. They're back from Detroit to New York here, so they are traveling overnight to play this game back home. I think they're going to play zero defense tonight. I think Giannis absolutely smashes this team. His double-double and win is -106. Love that. His 35-plus points and win is +235. Love that. I would go all the way up to 40 points with him tonight. I think he's going to be the guy at the end of the night that you need in DFS. Randone will touch on it a little bit more, but I think he's the guy at the end of the night that has 70 to 80 fantasy points and just puts up that absurd stat line against this Knicks team. I think they're just going to sit back on after that win last night and just let this Milwaukee team just run up and down the floor against them. I like the over here also because I just think you see a ton of points here.
All right, Chris. Tyler thinks that Giannis is the best spin up tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, early on, running a bunch of simulations this morning, he grades out actually very well, and he provides actually some upside leverage tonight for GPP play. As you know, tonight there's like a 2,500 milli maker on DraftKings. So currently, right now, like the ownership is relatively low. I mean, you're looking at sub 4% on Giannis, and it's like Tyler said, this is a back-to-back. He scored 140 points last night. They couldn't miss from anywhere against Detroit. Does that carry over into tonight? Sometimes it's relatively hard, especially when you're traveling back on a back-to-back real quick. So this could be a smash spot for Milwaukee, in my opinion. And yeah, Giannis looks absolutely great. He's one of the highest projected players on tonight's slate. But also, furthermore, he has a very high percentage of exceeding expectations tonight. So I love the Giannis call, especially if you can get him at low ownership. That's exactly when you want to roster these high guys. So yeah, great call on the Giannis.
On a 13-game slate, are we even worried about ownership? I mean, it's not like last night, right, where everyone was on Luka or Steph.
No, because there's some games tonight that there's a lot of ownership going. So it really all depends. I think it's that Memphis game, if I'm not mistaken. There's a ton of value there. A lot of ownership's going there as well. So in retrospect, yeah, you're right. Like the variance is crazy on a 13-game slate. But I will say, though, these are the slates where you do want to take advantage of maybe a Giannis getting an 80-point game because a lot of people just won't go there, especially because of the price point. So it's really just all about strategy, what's popping up in the projections, what's happening in the simulations. If you simulate, 1,000 times and he's popping up 60, 70% based on his projection, it's really hard to kind of not go there or at least have a few shares of him. So, but yeah, I mean, you can look at it from both lenses. Absolutely.
All right. Let's talk about the Washington Wizards, who are in Brooklyn taking on the Nets. The Wizards catching 5 points on a total of 229.5. Tyler, I think Brooklyn's another team that might be close, right? Getting 76ers territory. It feels like I never know what I'm going to get with this team. We did go ahead and take the Wizards earlier, but I tell you what, it's always rough going against the Nets. They can look like they're going to be one of the best teams in the East, and they can look like a lottery team. From night to night, the only thing I think is really consistent is the play of Kevin Durant is always outstanding, but you never know what you're going to get from those other players, except for maybe Royce O'Neal. I feel that he's been pretty consistent as well. Kyrie's been really up and down this season, as have the rest of the role players, especially shooters like Seth Curry and Joe Harris. Tyler, we like the Wizards. I'm not really sure what to do with it, but what do you think?
I love the Wizards here. I mean, you just look back at Brooklyn's last game. We talk about it. Yeah, it's like Kevin Durant can play well. He's still one of the best players in the world. It took 42 points out of him to just barely sneak past that Magic team. Now he's going to play a Washington team who we love when they have all their guys, which they do tonight. Beal will be out there. Porzingis will be out there. Kuzma will be out there. I think they win the game outright the more I look at it. I'm half tempted to say screw the 5 points. Give me the money line at 2-1.
It just moved to 6 while I was doing that breakdown.
Give me the money line even better than because now the odds are going up there. And then this poor Kyle Kuzma performance double, 22 plus points. Washington wins at plus 480. That sticks out to me because he's been a tank scoring the ball. I think he gets whatever he wants at the rim against Brooklyn tonight. And who are they going to put on him? Like a Royce O'Neal? You can't put a Claxton on him. Claxton's got to go guard Porzingis. Durant's not going to be playing much defense either. So, yeah, give me the Wizards here.
Yeah, the only one out really for Washington is Rui Hachimura. It's weird, though. Most teams need forwards. It feels like Washington can actually absorb those forward losses a little bit easier with Kuzma and Deni Avdija.
And another thing, too, like we've seen it, Claxton's not as much of a guy that wants to stay in the paint as Gobert. He doesn't want to go out to the perimeter, though. And we've seen Porzingis go 1, 2, 3 from 3 in the first 2 minutes of the last game. His threes prop is 1.5. It is juiced to minus 160, so I don't hate buying that up to a 3+ at plus 220 because I could see him just standing out on the perimeter while Claxton's hanging out in the paint. He's just letting threes fly.
Interesting. Yeah, and that would be, of course, good for our bet. Chris, how are you approaching this from a DFS perspective? Our guy Clyde wants everyone to know that Ben Simmons is out. So, we'll see how that affects the Nets.
Yeah, I think, Ben Simmons from a defensive standpoint, I think gives a boost to the Wizards. The +6, I just feel like I know how bad Brooklyn's defense is, and their offense is just not there. It's just so inconsistent. From a betting standpoint, +6 for the Wizards, I don't mind it. From a DFS standpoint, for some reason, Nick Claxton, he's getting a ton of public eyes tonight. He's very high projected ownership. But I do love the Porzingis call. I think Porzingis is in a really great spot. It's like Tyler said, there's double upside. He's taking a lot of shots. The usage is there. And he's 8,500, and not many people will go to him tonight. So I think also he can eat tonight, especially how bad with defense is on the Brooklyn side. So I don't mind that call whatsoever. I can't pay the 11-2 for Durant. I just really can't do anything else except maybe Kyrie Irving. And that's just, a flyer if you're playing 20 or 150 lineups. He's 8,500 on DraftKings. He projects well, sub 10% ownership. So you can consider that. But yeah, outside of that, maybe a few shares of Kuzma. Denny's price now has kind of gone up a little bit. He's in the 5K. But yeah, Nick Claxton is a very interesting kind of situation because right now he's looking at almost 30% ownership currently. And I'm sure that will change.
Are you surprised to see Claxton so high?
Yeah, kind of, just because it's a high negative leverage play at the moment. And I feel like you can get elsewhere. For me, I understand kind of the usage lately, especially the last 4 games. But outside of that, it's just hard. I'd rather go Porzingis here on the contrary and maybe go there. But Claxton does project well given his price point, point per dollar wise, but I just can't, I like to fade these types of situations. So it'll probably be a no-go for me.
All right. The San Antonio Spurs +4.5 in Oklahoma City taking on the Thunder, total of 231.5. Tyler, we didn't really want anything to do with this game when we were making the playbook earlier. Have any of your thoughts changed since then?
No, just one quick sentence on it. SGA's on the injury report. He's questionable with a hip contusion. If he's out, bet the Spurs money line because the OKC offense pretty much dies at that point if he's not there. So that's my take on that game.
You don't think it'd be a Giddey season?
Giddey could run the offense. He's a great point guard, but when Giddey's not going to account for those 35 points SGA's putting up a game.
Yeah.
Like Giddey's not filling that void, and I don't see another guy on that team filling it unless they get red hot from shooting. So give me the Spurs here.
All right. What do you think, Chris? How do we approach this game?
Yeah, 237 over from what I'm seeing right now. It's very high. I wonder how much that changes if SGA is out. But it's like Tyler said, where's the offense going to come from outside of SGA, especially, with him being the ball handler and being creative? Yeah, Giddey will probably get a lot more ownership if SGA is out. He's 6,700 on DK. A lot of people are going to Zach Collins tonight, 4,500. Ownership is very high at the current moment. And, the San Antonio side is getting a lot of love for Keldon, Trey Jones, even Yates Diop. So very interesting. I think people are looking at this over under and kind of wondering if this is a game that people are going to smash here. So I do love the Spurs call though, if SGA is out. So I guess we'll have to wait and see until then. But outside of that, and outside of Giddey, I don't think I could go really anywhere from DFS standpoint. So so give me the Spurs on the betting side.
All right, sounds like a plan. The Memphis Grizzlies are now -2 in Minnesota, taking on the Timberwolves. Total of 230.5. The Timberwolves, of course, will be playing without Karl-Anthony Towns, who has a calf strain, will be out to 4 to 6 weeks. This might be good for the team. Now they can play more like they did in Utah. Anthony Edwards can play the Donovan Mitchell role, and with a little less size down low, maybe Gobert is a little more effective down low. But I really think the big, huge step here will be just more usage for Edwards, because they really need him to step up if they're going to be that top 4 team that they expected to be when they made that trade. So it's a tough task tonight, though, going against a Memphis team, right? They had that real fun playoff series last year. These teams know each other well, but obviously constructed a little different as of right now. Tyler, what do you think?
Yeah, give me Memphis here. I think Minnesota's going to, even if they get it together and they start to put it together with only one big man, they start to space out the floor a little bit better. I don't think it's in one game. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. And Memphis is a team, they're pretty healthy outside of Desmond Bane. Like, Zaire Williams is kind of a rotational guy. He doesn't play many minutes. Dylan Brooks, I mean, outside of chasing people around and fouling people, what does he really do? So they're really not all that banged up, to where Cat, I think, is very important on the offensive end for Minnesota, because we've seen guys like Anthony Edwards go very cold from the perimeter. D'Angelo doesn't look all that good. Gobert doesn't have any offense. So I could see Memphis running away with this one pretty easily here. Give me Memphis at the short number.
All right, Chris. Tyler likes the Grizzlies. What do you think?
Yeah, I could like the Grizzlies as well, especially if they're going to try to figure out kind of how this ball movement and what takes place without Towns on the floor and being in the rotation. So I'm curious to see, does Anthony Edwards now kind of go back to where he was last year and take control? So yeah, I do like the Grizzlies here. But I will say, from a DFS standpoint, so many people love this game. They love Russell. They love guys like Jalen Noel. Kyle Anderson is getting a ridiculous amount of projection right now in regards to ownership. So yeah, Anthony Edwards, though, I love that call spread. He's only 8K. Very, very nice projection. And for me, I could see myself going there. But I think keep a lookout for the big guys, especially like Steven Adams. He's very cheap. Jaren Jackson Jr., if he can stay out of foul trouble, I think he's an absolute stud. I think this is a good situation for him as well. So yeah, definitely you want to look at this game from a DFS standpoint, because there's a lot of pieces here that you could probably put into your lineups.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Yeah. Are you surprised that this game is popping so hard on the projections, Chris?
Not necessarily. I mean, I could see why, it's in regards to projection, the usage. A lot of things change when you take away the usage and the shot attempts from Karl-Anthony Towns as well. So I could see why Russell and Edwards are really popping. Russell's pretty cheap. He's projected right now for 40.03 points. He's 6,400, only point guard eligibility. And so, he's looking at about 29% ownership at the current moment. I mean, it's really hard because, with Towns off the floor, it's like, okay, you got Russell, Edwards, and you got Gobert. So I guess we'll have to see. But yeah, Jalen Noel is 3,900, and right now he's looking at almost 40% ownership. And this will all change with injuries as we go along the day. But Kyle Anderson is someone to really look out for. I mean, he has a lower price point than Jalen Noel. He also has a lower projection, but yet he's garnering almost 50% ownership at the moment. So that's a very interesting situation.
Yeah, that is interesting. Our guy, We the People, who's always dropping sharp takes in here, says he loves Jalen Noel. He says Adams double and win is live here too. What do you think of that one, Tyler?
Yeah, I love that call, because just like Randon said, watch out for the big man here.
Yeah.
If Rudy Gobert's going to be on the floor 35 minutes, Adams probably plays exactly right around those same minutes, because he could just stand down there with him. He's a physical guy that can keep him away from the hoop, and he could easily steal boards from him and get up 10 points. So definitely like that call.
Yeah, that is a good call when you actually do the game script and you see that, there's going to be no one to really play Steven Adams off the floor if they want to give Gobert those minutes. I guess the only issue would be if those two guys got each other in foul trouble. So that's always a tough metric for us to understand, right, Tyler? Because we don't know how a game's necessarily going to be officiated. I know some people love the ref stats, but sometimes they don't necessarily feel like
it's so hard to
that
keep track of the
indicative.
ref stats in the regular season, though.
Yeah.
Like it's easy in the playoffs because you just pinpoint those couple refs and you're all right. But
I also think in the playoffs there's a bunch of confirmation bias too.
yeah.
Hey, speaking of refs, real quick, I just want to ask: do you think Dinwiddie's ejection was warranted? Because he said something about the refs a game or two ago, and so they were talking about how like they really wanted to like set a statement. And so I was just curious your thoughts on that, since you brought up the ref.
I think that's just one of them things where the refs had the silent agreement. Anything he does, he's out. It's like remember back when AI said something about the refs and he's getting attacked on the floor, and they're like, we're not calling a single foul on you tonight, buddy. Like you're gonna see not to talk about us tonight.
And they also said the Warriors might be targeted after showing up the refs a couple nights ago as well. So that was kind of interesting there. That felt like neither the Warriors weren't getting calls either. But yeah, it was one of those things where he didn't necessarily need to be objected, but I wasn't necessarily surprised that he was. I didn't think it was like egregious for them. What did you think? I didn't think it was egregious. They probably officiated a little tighter than usual, but
I thought flagrant 1 was warranted, but to go from common foul and upgrade it all the way to a flagrant 2, I thought it was like a little bit extreme. So I don't know. I feel like I saw someone tweet last night, like Austin Reeves gets like 3 or 4 of those a game, and it's just a common foul. And then yet you throw this guy out, and they're just kind of interesting.
Yeah, I guess that's fair as well. So, yeah, I mean, that's one thing in the NBA, and I think it's the hardest sport to officiate. And those guys are never really they're always going to be subject to criticism. Let's talk about the Toronto Raptors. -2 in New Orleans, taking on the Pelicans. 221.5 is the total. Tyler, I love the Raptors at home. It's not like I hate taking them on the road. I'm actually kind of neutral towards them on the road. I want to look at it with the matchup. I don't know if this is a good matchup for them, right? Because we know that they're long and lengthy and they have all those wings. Can the Pelicans punish them down low? Both Zion and Valanciunas should have advantage matchups here tonight. Pelicans are catching 2 at home. Am I missing something here on this injury report? Why is this number where it is?
I mean, you got no Brandon Ingram, you got no CJ McCollum for the Pelicans. And then on the Toronto side, there's really no key guys out. It's just Otto Porter's out. So
has he even played yet this year?
I think he's played a couple minutes off the bench, but he's not all that important. So most of their guys are there. They're also 16-4 ATS in their last 20 trips to New Orleans, I just seen. So they do play well here as I know you just said, you don't like backing them on the road, rather back them at home. I'm just going to stay away from this game altogether. Just because I like the Pelicans, I see the advantages they have down low in this game. I could see, just like you said, Zion and Joe Val winning this game for them. I could also see on the other side where the Raptors guards and Siakam and these guys are just lighting them up from the perimeter and they can't keep up. So just a complete stay away from me.
All right, Chris. Not really sure what to make of this one. Obviously, with those players being out, though, there's some value in DFS. How you're approaching it?
Yeah, from a betting standpoint, I probably wouldn't even come close to it either. I think without McCollum and without Ingram, I mean, these are 2 big-time scorers for this team. It's just hard for me to pinpoint exactly can they, keep up, even though there's injuries on the other side as well. But I will say, Zion is someone you should definitely look out for tonight. Took 18 shots last game. He had over 50 fantasy points. He's 8,600. Not many people are going to go to him, but when you have Ingram and McCollum off the floor, I mean, you would think that so much usage and so many opportunities are just going to go to Zion, especially if he could stay out of foul trouble. And then other guys that maybe you want to consider, probably Herb Jones. This guy can be a pivot for maybe other guys we spoke about earlier. He's in that price range of, guys we spoke about. So 4,800, small forward, power forward eligibility. He's getting about 5% ownership at the moment. But, last game he played like 38 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. And, as far as DFS goes, as you know, if you got a guy, he's very cheap, he's on the court at some point, he can exceed expectations. So he shot horribly, 4 for 12, but he still had 33 fantasy points. As you know, he's a guy that you want to attack when it comes to defensive stats. He's very lengthy. He's very athletic. I think, this is a spot that maybe you want to really consider Herb Jones from DFS. So 4,800, and he's dual eligibility on the position.
All right. The next one is the biggest spread on the board. The Houston Rockets are plus 12 against the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets, of course, and reigning league MVP Nikola Jokic have been playing better as of late. The Rockets just can't get a stop, which is why this total is 230.5. Tyler, I think they've done a good job of kind of scaring us off here because we've talked about it before, especially in the NFL as well, but the law of diminishing returns. When these numbers get higher and higher on these point spreads, it's tough. Like, for example, I'd say like a game that I have at 8 that's lined at -5, I'm a lot more comfortable than a game that I have at 14 that's lined at -11. And so that's the case here with this Denver game. I'm not necessarily too excited about getting involved, especially on this huge slate. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm not getting involved on the side or the total in this one either, but a couple props I do like. I want to go back to your Jokic points prop from this matchup a few nights ago, the over 25.5. Still no MPJ. There really is no big man on Houston that could stop him down low. It's just if the dude wants to score the ball tonight or if he wants to get 15 assists, which I believe he will want to score tonight. And then back to the one our subscriber pointed out to us, the Jalen Green points, rebounds, and assist over right around 28.5. He could explode and get 30 points alone to where you don't even need any assists or rebounds. I think he's good for about 20 to 25 in this matchup. So anything else he does for you there will help us get to that number. So definitely like those two. And our guy Twig in the chat saying SGA's out tonight. So definitely get on that Spurs money line.
All right, Spurs money line. There we go. Add a little bit of action to tonight. Tyler, I think you illustrated a great point that not only you're going to get the help of the coordinators like you and I at Run Pure Sports, the Discord is just full of sharp guys, sharp bettors, and guys that are always looking to find angles. And then once again, that's the case where, a subscriber found an angle that we had overlooked and we were all able to cash on it. So if you're not a member, head on over to runpuresports.com for the best in sports gambling and daily fantasy information. Chris, a 12-point spread here with the Rockets and the Nuggets. I know that blowout potential is somewhat of a concern, but I would think that Jokic is the guy that could get there, even if he plays a little less minutes than usual tonight. But I still don't know if he's as attractive as Giannis, and that's kind of the decision you have to make. What are your thoughts?
Definitely not as attractive as Giannis. Definitely not as good of a projection as Giannis either. And as far as like an optimal perspective, Giannis just crushes him in all statistical data leading up to tonight's games. So yeah, I still would go Giannis over Jokic, and Giannis is actually still lower owned projected wise.
Really? That surprises me.
Like by 0.2, 0.3%. I mean, obviously this will all change essentially, but I do feel like Giannis has a higher ceiling as well. So, for me, I think I would still stick on the Giannis end. Surprisingly, though, I would bet the Houston Rockets plus 12. These two just played each other. And I don't know if they traveled back because they just played at Denver, right? If I'm not mistaken.
No, they stayed in there. Yeah, it's one of the things we did to reduce travel. So they have a lot of with the division games. They'll play two.
Yeah, so they stayed there. I'm sure they've adjusted maybe to a little bit of the altitude as well. I just love the guards. I love Jalen Green. Like Tyler pointed out, and I'm a big KPJ guy. So for me, I think they can just hang in there. I'm not saying that they're going to win outright, but this is like last week when I said Detroit would cover against Utah with the spread, like because it was just such a big spread. I think
they ended up winning.
Like right. Yeah, they ended up winning outright. Yeah. What's crazy about that slate is we had every single bet, and your damn Portland Trailblazers crushed my parlay, man. I was like, damn, I'm going to add Portland to this because spread was really high on them against Cleveland. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
But I was like, damn, it was like an 8-game parlay too, but it's okay. Wow. We'll run it back. But yeah, no, this is a spot where I really do like Houston just to stay within the mix. And it's solely based on those guards. So I just think that for me, it'll be a little bit more competitive tonight. They won by 16 the other night, but they stayed in Denver. To me, I look at that as like a key factor here. DFS wise though, I just don't want to touch it unless I would probably go maybe a little bit of Bruce Brown, a little bit of Alfred Sengun, because he'll have to play a lot more minutes, I believe, with Jokic in there. But outside of that, DFS-wise, I just don't think that these are pieces, especially their price points, that I kind of want to focus on.
I think the more minutes Sengun gets, the more attractive Jokic becomes. He can't even defend average players, let alone a guy like Jokic. But all right, plus 12. We'll add that one to the slate as well. We'll throw that one in there now. Another team that had me talking about those damn Portland Trailblazers was the Los Angeles Clippers, and I've already lamented the fact that they were up 18. I thought it was a win, went to sleep, and woke up to find that the Clippers had got hotter than the sun and got the win. But now it's a tough spot for them because they travel to Utah to take on the Jazz. But Tyler, the Jazz haven't won since Mike Conley's been out, and Mike Conley's out tonight, right? So I know this is a tired Clippers team, but they do have a lot of depth, and Utah just hasn't been the same without Conley. I like taking the points here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. Points or pass here for me. Clippers got hot last night towards the end of the game. I think that could definitely roll over here into this game versus Utah. And we've seen this matchup a ton in the last couple of years in the playoffs. I know the two main guys are gone for Utah, but this Clippers team has no problem going into Utah and winning games outright. So giving me them plus 7 points off of a hot shooting night where all their role players were hitting their threes. Still no Conley for the Jazz, and they've just been in shambles after starting the year hot. Give me the Clippers here, plus the 7, even sprinkle on the money line. I think they could win this game.
All right, Chris, we both like taking the points here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think last night, so I had, once again, last leg of the parlay, I had Portland straight up. I had Portland -4, same thing spread. They were up 20 if I'm not mistaken. And I thought I was like, okay, this is a lock. And fourth quarter, just a complete disaster. I was very shocked actually to see them come back and actually win outright. But guys got hot, Powell got hot, Jackson got hot. Surprised Jackson even stayed in the game after that collision. I don't know if you guys saw. Yeah. But he hit the ground hard. This was like right before the half. And he looked like he had a big time concussion. And he comes out and just, smokes them in the second half. Played a lot of minutes. So I think this can carry over tonight. And I would say maybe also flirt with an outright straight bet. These guys seem to be in sync. And, I know it's a tough kind of transition to go from LA and to Utah and stuff like that. But I just think, based on what I saw last night, that momentum could carry over into tonight. And I could see them potentially winning. But DFS purposes, don't mind looking at a few guys like Zubac. Powell, again, he's super cheap. If he can shoot like he shot in the second half last night, he's going to, obviously get some eyes on him. Terrence Mann was not in the rotation, especially closing out last night. So that's kind of one thing to take into consideration. He played very well in the first half, but then all of a sudden just kind of disappeared. So I don't know if I would want to go back to him. And then outside of that, I think there's guys like Olynyk you can possibly look at. Markkanen, I don't think I'd go there, and Clarkson as well. They're just both priced not appropriately for their projection and point per dollar. So, but outside of that, there's a little bit of ownership going to Reggie Jackson, and that's it.
All right.
No, any John Wall love because he's back tonight.
He's actually,
and that could be a way of getting a little bit different off the Reggie Jacksons, because he might come out and dish out 8-9 assists tonight, 15 points.
Not to mention he didn't play last night, so
he's going to be the freshest legs.
Yeah.
What was it? Just management?
Yeah, he's
never going to play back to back all year.
Yeah,
he's not. So they just changed which one he's going to play.
Yeah, he's 5,600. If he plays his 24 minutes, I would like him to shoot double-digit shots. But I will say though, I don't think Colin Sexton has the best defense. I don't know if you guys know, but like DFS standpoint, people would attack.
Not the
Colin
best.
Sexton.
I mean, you can argue it's some of the worst.
Yeah, some of the worst. So, I mean, for me, you can definitely go there if we can, kind of snipe out a 30-40 point game from him, fantasy point wise. 5,600, don't mind it whatsoever as well. So, curious to see kind of this pace tonight of this game between the two.
All right, we're making good time here on the NBA Rundown, giving you out the winners and our early DFS projections. All we ask is that you give us that thumbs up. Helps us out with some sort of algorithm that I don't understand. And, of course, subscribe to the channel. You'll be notified every time we go live because, hey, like we said, 13-game slate, but stuff is going to change. So when that hardwood show's on later, you're going to be notified. And Tyler's actually going to step in and pick some winners for me on the very next show with Holden and Travis. So you get some NFL winners as well. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Give us the thumbs up, and we're going to continue along. Another game that I really liked here tonight, Tyler, was the Chicago Bulls taking on the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix just, with all that early season turmoil, right? Felt like, hey, maybe this team's in trouble. Not at all. They haven't missed a beat. Maybe we thought DeAndre Ayton might be disgruntled. He's putting out his frustrations the right way. That's performing well on the court and living up to the contract that they gave him. So while things could have looked like they were going to implode for Phoenix, it's been the exact opposite. This team really hasn't missed a step. And, of course, they're going to be ultimately judged on their playoff performance. But they're going to be a great team for us to continue to back in the regular season. We've never been high on the Bulls going against good teams, and Phoenix is one of the best. I'm going to lay it with the Suns.
Oh, I totally agree with you. You never got to pull my arm to bet the Suns spread. I mean, and you look at this matchup. The Bulls are 0-5 in this matchup in their last 5 tries. They're 1-4 in their last 5 trips to Phoenix, and they're 1-5 in their last 6 against just Western Conference opponents in general. They just don't play good against the West. This is the best team in the West, even without Chris Paul. I think Ayton has pretty much his way with Vucevic down low. They could run that pick and roll with Campaign. They could do it with Devin Booker. I believe Campaign played for the Bulls, didn't he, spread?
Yeah.
So you get a little bit of revenge. Yeah, you get a little bit of a revenge game here for him. He can come in, have a nice.
Was he drafted by the Bulls or the Thunder?
Thunder drafted him.
And then he went to the Bulls for a second stint. Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so definitely a little bit of a revenge game there. Booker's in another smash spot. He was hot last game. A guy like that, I just like to ride those guys when they're hitting their shots. His points prop over 28.5 is definitely a bet for me. And then his 30-plus points and win is definitely one for me also here.
All right, Chris, we both love the Suns here. What do you think?
Yeah, sign me up for the Suns. Love that call. You can lay the points as well. I think this is a spot where they just kind of smash the Bulls. Anything for DFS purposes, I'm just really not a fan of. I think some people will go to Campaign 6,600. You just got to hope that he makes his shots. I don't think he shot too well last game, if I'm not mistaken. Shot like 2 for 10 from the field. But outside of that, I don't want to pay these price points, especially with all these Bulls on the floor together. They eat away from each other. So I think it's a no-go for me.
All right. Yeah. And I see that's fine. On a 13-game slate, you are going to have to take some stands and hope that's a game that goes under total 228. This next game, though, going to be a little harder to fade. The Indiana Pacers and Tyrese Halliburton will be looking for revenge against the Sacramento Kings. Now, when we talk about revenge, Tyler, I feel like Halliburton has a much better case for revenge here. I mean, he was actually misled by the team. They said, hey, we're building around you. You're the future here. A week later, he shipped out. I think the Sabonis kind of knew that he was on his way out, and they were going to try and rebuild those things. So I feel like Halliburton, we talk about revenge. Mangum was bringing up the other guy played for 9 games during the summer league on a team, right? But this is real revenge. This isn't just us throwing one out there here. I love the Halliburton props tonight. I think he's going to smash on assists. We talked about it yesterday, right? What do you have? 40 assists and 0 turnovers over the last 3 games. His assist props is set at 11.5. He dished out 15 the last time he played the Kings. I expect him to do the same here tonight. So I don't know if the Beam team's going to get it done or if the Pacers will get it done. I think I'm going to approach this game from a player prop total. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, the more I look at it, I love the call on the Halliburton props, but I'm going to go a different route from you on his props.
Okay.
He's got to turn over the ball eventually, spread. And what better spot to turn over the ball than against the team that he's probably going to be the most emotional playing? The team that kicked him out.
Yeah, but can De'Aaron Fox create turnovers? Like, he's going to smoke
Mitchell
him.
Can. Davion Mitchell can, for sure. So, and it's just you put the ball in the wrong place. You pass the ball, and the teammate tips it the wrong way, and now it counts as your turnover. His turnovers are over 2.5. I'd rather get that at 1.5. So maybe a little stay away from that now, seeing the number. But I like the Kings here to win this game. Indiana's coming off that buzzer beater win over the Lakers. Right. They've ran well lately. But you look at who the Kings have lost to in their last 3. Atlanta, Boston, Phoenix. Those are
tough
3.
run.
Yeah, that's a tough run. Yeah. And out of all the teams they played recently, this is the softest matchup. Off that emotional win against the Lakers, I think the Kings come in. I think they pound them right here. Give me the Kings.
All right. Yeah, hopefully we'll be lighting the beam tonight. Chris, a lot of talk in the chat about this game from a DFS perspective. And, of course, at 242.5, we have to be interested. But Jason's saying ownership is projected pretty low in this game. And our guy Steven wants to know how you feel about this game from the DFS perspective. What are your thoughts here on the Kings and the Pacers?
Yeah, currently right now, projection-wise, Jalen Smith is getting the most love from this game at 4,500. Very volatile, very inconsistent. But he's, very talented and can get there. But I can't roster a Jalen Smith that is only going to shoot single-digit shots, like 4 shots last game, 6 shots the other, 6 shots. And, he's just not an efficient scorer. So, where are we going to get that game? It's very volatile. I just don't see that happening. He's projected right now about 13%. But the guys that you spoke of that, are very interesting, Halliburton, sub 10% currently at the moment. I think he's in a smash spot. Don't mind it whatsoever. I think Sabonis is in a smash spot. He's not getting any ownership whatsoever, looking at like 3-4% maybe right now.
Wow.
And then guys like De'Aaron Fox as well, same range. Miles Turner, I can't get there, 7,600 at center. I'd rather go other areas because his projection doesn't just stand out. But I think a guy like Buddy Hield as well, this is a revenge narrative for him as well. And he's going to take double-digit shots. He's 6,200. If he gets hot from three, he can definitely exceed expectations. So believe it or not, this game has a 240 total, but yet a lot of people don't want to go here for some reason. So the only guys that are over double digit are guys like Malik Monk. We talked about Jalen Smith, and then also Benedict Mathurin. He's getting over 10% double digit ownership. So it's very strange. It's a very unique situation. And if this kind of stays like that, I think you could really, take advantage of the field and be over the field on Halliburton, be over the field on Sabonis, and even De'Aaron Fox as well. De'Aaron Fox. I love the call that Tyler mentioned about the turnovers for Halliburton. Emotional game. De'Aaron Fox averages 1.4, 1.5 steals per game. Definitely a situation where you can easily, smash that prop. So love that call as well. And for some reason, just the eyes are just not focusing on this game as much as they are others.
I think that's because it has one of the cleanest injury reports, right? We have Duarte, who's been out for a while, and then Trey Lyles, who means absolutely nothing to DFS. Steven's got another good question. If you were to stack this game, what's the early game you would pair it with, Chris?
Oh, if I'm stacking this game and I'm looking at an earlier game, maybe some pieces from Minnesota, Memphis.
That's what I was thinking.
And then, if you're looking for another game, believe it or not, I mean, maybe consider the guards from Atlanta and, fit them into the mix somehow. But outside of that, that Memphis, Minnesota game. And then if you want to pair, and hit up Indiana, Sacramento, don't mind that as well. But I also don't mind some of these Clippers guys either. So it's interesting. I feel like there's some games tonight where you can just easily put an X on and then just kind of like really have different roster construction amongst the other games that are super optimal compared to the others.
All right. Yeah, Jason Dial also wants to stack this game. So, hey, that'll be fun to stack a game with the 242 and have low ownership. That doesn't happen too often. So take advantage of it while you can. Give us that thumbs up. RunPureSports.com. Final game of the night. Portland Trailblazers are +6 in Los Angeles, taking on the Lakers. Total 224.5. Now, Tyler, normally we would say, who are the Lakers to be laying 6 to anyone? But that was a tough loss. And although I didn't see the end, it was a pretty high-paced game of the first three quarters that I did see. And I also think that's a tough situation to come back from. The Lakers, of course, did not play last night. Portland's going to have to get on the plane. Well, they did last night, but some late travel there for the team. Maybe a fatigue spot here. Still don't want to lay 6 with the Lakers. Maybe a performance double. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, if I'm coming at this game, I'm coming at it from performance double, just like you said, because I do think the Lakers win. I think AD smashes this team. Who's going to guard him? Jeremiah Grant, Yusef Nurkic. There really is nobody that could stop AD here. So, instead of laying the 6, you could do AD double and win is -110. That he graces all the points and basically gives you the same odds. You could do him 25 plus points and win at +150. I like that one. And another prop I like too, because I think LeBron's finally starting to lose that step a little bit. His points, rebounds, and assists is still up at 40.5. I like the under there. I think this is an AD spot where AD absolutely smashes. And I think you're slowly going to start to see him give AD the full run and make this his team. So I'm just going to start betting LeBron unders now because I think it slowly starts to tick down. And that number starts to get down into the lower 30s. So 40.5, give me the under on his PRA.
All right. Hey, as Steven makes a good point, man. I'm here. I'm not even feeling 100%. Definitely fighting through it. And all we're asking is you hit the thumbs up. Give us more than 75 likes. Don't be hurtful. We're giving out the best sports gambling and DFS advice. Chris, Lakers, Blazers, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, smash the like. Come on. If you don't want to do it for me, do it for spread so you can feel better.
Yeah.
This doctors told them 75 likes is the only remedy that's going to help them and feel good. So smash the like for our boy spread. I don't think I want to bet this game. Honestly, I think Portland's dead to me from a betting perspective. This is twice now. They've crushed my big time parlays. And then also too, I'm thinking about, man, how do you blow that 20-point lead? You're in control. You're at home. And then, now you got to travel, go to LA, morale's got to be somewhat disgruntled to an extent. I don't mind maybe the Lakers here winning outright, to be honest with you, especially with LeBron and AD on the floor. AD obviously can definitely smash here, but I think a guy who can smash here from a DFS perspective is Nurkic. He's only 6,900. This is kind of a really good spot for him. They struggle against bigs. For me, he's looking very good from an optimal standpoint tonight. His projection in point per dollar looks good. Ownership, sub-teens. So, I don't mind it too much. And also it's obviously one of those games for a late night hammer. I love running guys late at night. So Indiana, Sacramento in this game I'll have some pieces for it and try to make a late run at some form of prize pool. But other guys, I know Simons was a great play last night. Tonight, that's a little bit difficult. He's 8,200. I don't know if I like him as much as I did maybe last night. And then outside of that, it just looks like there's really nothing going anywhere else besides Winslow. He's actually getting over 20%. But I just don't know if Winslow is like that optimal guy that you need tonight on a 13-game slate. So it'll probably be like a borderline fade, maybe some just low shares of Winslow.
All right. Well, we did it. We made it through a full 13-game slate, but we're still in time for the picking winners, which is coming up in 8 minutes on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed, but we're not done yet. It's time for the best bets. Tyler, let's start with you. What's your best bet for today?
I'm targeting this Milwaukee game all the way around. I like the over 228. I like Milwaukee minus the 6. I like the performance double of Giannis, double and win at minus 106. I like the other one, 35 plus points, and Milwaukee wins at plus 235. I think it's a big Giannis day.
All right. Well, hey, it's never hard to get me to bet on the Bucks, right? It's like getting you to bet on the Suns, and that's what I'm going to do.
Just to touch on it too, like you look at his recent stat lines against the Knicks: 30, 14 and 9, 38, 13 and 5, 20, 10 and 11, 15, 15 and 8, 25, 7, 4 and 2. Like, the dude beats up on the Knicks almost every time he plays.
And even though the Knicks haven't been that good, everyone still gets up to play in the Garden, right?
Exactly.
I mean, even though the Knicks haven't been the best, it still feels like it's the grandest stage in the National Basketball Association. So, Tyler, you're taking my team. I'm taking your team. You're taking the Bucks. I'm taking the Suns, right? So we're trading tonight. But we love Phoenix, and we love to fade Chicago against a good team. Fairly easy handicap. Chris, what do you have for your best bet today?
Yeah, I think it's the Atlanta Hawks. I love the Hawks here. I love the guard play from these two. Everything runs through them. Orlando struggles against guards. I could just see them going off here in Orlando. So, yeah, I think I'm going to roll with the Hawks there, and that's going to be my best bet.
All right, Chris likes the Hawks. Tyler's gone after the Bucks game all types of ways, and, of course, I'm taking the Phoenix Suns. So there you have it. Because I'm a little under the weather and it's only a one-game slate tomorrow, we're going to take tomorrow off for the NBA Rundown, but we'll be back on Friday, not only with an NBA Rundown featuring AP, but with Talking Touchdowns with Kurt, which is always a great time. So, hey, you might forget, though, so make sure you're subscribed. You'll be notified when we go live. That is it for us. Chris, any words of wisdom on this 13-game slate before we get out of here?
No, just keep up to date, throughout the day. There's still some moving pieces. Current ownership projections are very interesting, but just one of those nights where, there's a lot of variance tonight. So good luck to everyone, and looking forward to seeing some Run Pure guys at the top tonight. Yeah,
I have a feeling that the team's going to do well. And, of course, for the core plays, head on over to runpuresports.com. You also have access to the Up to Lock show featuring JSU, where we do the late pivots for all the injury news that we had no idea what was going to happen when we were doing this show right now. So that's it for us. Tyler's going to be back in 5 minutes with Holden and Travis. They're going to be picking some NFL winners. Make sure you tune into that and Run Pure.